Now that's how you start a stream. Hey everyone, welcome to my stream. Today we're going to be talking about life in Qatar, same as last time. And I see that nobody's in stream at this point in time. So what I'm going to do, if this is your first time joining the stream, or you might be watching this after the fact. So if this is your first time, I'll be covering some news articles or of any topics that is relevant to living in Qatar. And yeah, if I have anybody in the stream, obviously we will answer some questions as well. And if you'd like to drop a comment after the stream has gone live, and maybe on a video on demand format, you can definitely drop a comment below. And I always try to get back or answer any and all questions. Coffee is important. And we have one person in the stream. Now, normally what I like to do is whenever you join the stream, if you can just say anything, what's up, how you doing, then I can just shout you out real quick. So as I've mentioned, we're going to discuss a couple of news articles. And again, it all depends on the stream. If I don't have too many people showing up, what I'm going to do, I'll obviously just go through some of the news articles, and at that point, when I'm done with my articles and I run out of steam, I'll probably just cut the stream short. However, if there's more people joining the stream, I'll probably go a little bit longer. Normally the stream would be between 30 to 60 minutes. So let's see how long we can go for today. I believe I believe the last stream we went for about 1 hour, if I'm not mistaken. You see, I'm getting old. I can't even remember what must be the last stream length. And who is this in the stream? Would you like to shout out? So what I'm going to do now, I'll just share slides, share screen. So I will okay, so this is a news article that's obviously relevant to anybody that is in Qatar and anybody that is looking to come to Qatar over the next few weeks, especially during the World Cup. So here you can see Saudi Arabia to offer free Umrah free Umrah visas for Hayya card holders during the World Cup. Now, the Hayya card is something that you have to apply for as part of the requirements to basically come to Qatar during the World Cup. Yeah. So I will just read some of this article here. Probably not all of it. Okay. Hayya card holders attending the World Cup in Qatar will be permitted free entry visas to perform Umrah in Saudi Arabia throughout the duration of the tournament, Saudi press agency have reported. Now, that's actually a really amazing initiative because usually, depending on obviously where you come from, you normally have to apply for a visa when you go to Saudi Arabia. So that is a really amazing initiative. So it basically opens the doors. I know Umrah is only specific for those who follow the Muslim faith, but it's still an amazing. Sorry, those who are Muslim or following Islam, but it's still an amazing initiative nonetheless. So let's just continue here. So Khalid Al-Shamari, the Assistant Director General of the Department of Visas at Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now that's a mouthful. I'm actually amazed that I got through that. Also made an announcement to Al-Ekbaria TV. Now there I messed it up. Adding that Muslim Hayya card holders can stay in the country for up to 2 months, ending on January 11, 2023. So that's actually amazing, yeah. So you can start during the World Cup and you can actually extend your stay in Saudi Arabia for up to 2 months. Now, specifically for anybody who wants to go for Umrah, yeah. Let's just finish off with this one article here. Sorry, this one paragraph. Now, In the description, if you'd like to read this for yourself, I have linked all of these articles that I'm going to be going through tonight. I have actually linked it already in the description, so you are more than welcome to just click on the links and just read it at your own pace. Yeah. So the visa is free, but medical insurance must be obtained from the visa platform. So okay, it seems like they are actually providing medical insurance, which is, I think, a standard requirement nowadays when you travel, especially since COVID started. Excuse me. Al Shamari further adding that card holders are being offered to multi-entry visas. Sometimes words fail me, so apologies for that. And that they can enter and exit Saudi Arabia at any time during the validity period. Yeah. And as I've mentioned, here it says the period will be 60 days, which is awesome. Yeah. So this is a article that was published on the One News. Now that was on the 15th of October, so not too long ago. Actually today. Yeah. And we have two people. Oh, I have questions. It's okay. So this is from a person I probably don't know that shares the same last name as me. So I have questions already. So Abigail Dolly said, or she asked, what are your tips to save costs when dining in Qatar, especially during the World Cup? Now it's actually good that you asked that. Now I'm planning to make a video about that, a vlog style video about cost saving tips for anybody coming to Qatar. Now, specifically related to dining, if I'm gonna give you my tip, this is actually what I was thinking about doing this video for pertaining to cost saving, right? I was thinking of doing this video for about a couple of weeks now. Obviously, I haven't gone through the whole process of doing it, but I was thinking of doing like a top 5 video where the number one best way of saving when you come to Qatar, it was obviously going to be something related to dining. But for those who are in my stream, which is one person, and hopefully a few more once the stream is on video on demand, entertainment is actually an amazing way to save on expenses, especially related to dining. Yeah, and I love entertainer. I love me some entertainer. So for anybody that doesn't know, I will see if I can quickly pull up entertainer here. So let's remove that. Now, because my channel is still small, I only have like 500 plus followers, subscribers, who I appreciate, value, and I love all of you guys who subscribe to my channel. But relative to other channels, my channel is definitely still small, meaning these guys will never pay me for any sponsorship. So I will give them some free marketing now. So, okay, just one sec. Now, I am not sponsored at all by Entertainer, but this is my number one cost saving tip, especially related to dining if you are coming to Qatar. Reason being, and this is good for anybody that is coming, it should be for 2 or more people, right? So if you are traveling with a partner or you are traveling with your family, this is the best way to save during your trip to Qatar. You can actually get a entertainer. I'm not sure what is the exact name, but there's a tourist version of the entertainer. So what an entertainer is, you basically register for the entertainer. Now I know some of you are only going to come here for like a few days, maybe a week. But if you even if you're only going to come here for 1 week, and if you have a family of, let's say, yourself, your partner, let's say 2 kids are traveling with you guys, a family of 4 will save a lot if you have entertainer. You have to pay the registration to obviously register to get the entertainer app and to get all of the benefits, right? Which I don't know how much is it now. It it's going to be a couple of hundred reals, maybe 200 reals or whatever, 300 reals. So yeah, you pay let's say 200 reals to get the entertainer app. You're going to be here for 1 week. You have a family of 4. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of restaurants that gives you like buy one get one promotions on various restaurants throughout Qatar. Meaning, you'll be buying food for yourself, for your wife, let's say your kids. You'll only buy one get one is basically like when it comes to the entertainer, is basically like getting a 50% discount, right? Normally, that's on main courses. You have to be very particular with the wording, and it's good to actually just read up on the rules and regulations before, or the terms rather, before going to a specific restaurant. But normally it's for main courses. Then you have to spend whatever the cost is for your drinks and desserts and all of that, right? But you can actually save quite a lot if you have entertainer. So that is my number one cost saving tip. And thank you very much, Abigail Dolly, person who I don't know, for sending in that question. Back to the big screen. Now, currently we have 0 people in the stream. As the old saying goes, the show must go on. So I will continue with the show. And I hear some noise here. I have one of my rugrats creeping by. No, getting closer. Come here. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alia.
Are you Alia? Oh, wow.
Amara. Dolly.
Good. Wow, that's your full name, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, can you go back to wherever you came from?
Yeah.
Okay. Say bye.
Bye.
Okay, good. Bye-bye.
No.
You're very heavy. Daddy has to continue streaming. You see, I have to stream here to my millions and millions of viewers. Okay, go to the room, come. You cannot sit here. Okay, so apparently we're doing a duo stream tonight. At least you're coming here to bring some comic relief, yeah?
Poop poo. Poop poo.
Don't say that. Auntie, can you just take Alia? So I'm just calling the nanny to grab her. I'll probably have to edit this part out.
No.
Good thing there's nobody in the stream yet.
No.
Hmm?
No, come, Auntie. I want to stay with you.
You want to stay with me? But I'm talking to the millions and millions of people that's watching the stream. You know what that means? Millions and millions. It means a little bit more than 2. Yeah?
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
And we are back. And I do apologize. I had to turn the mic off because my kids were here. Actually, the one kid, and then the other smaller Ragret also came. So I do apologize. I had to just pause the stream for a bit while I got that sorted out. And we still have one person in the stream. So I'm going to go on to my next news article. So I think I covered a little bit on how to save on dining expenses when you are going to visit Qatar. So let's go on to the next article. So the next article is, again, from Dawa News. All the credit goes to Dawa News. Challenging, between quotation marks, Qatar predicts congestion at Compact World Cup. Now, some of you will probably know why they call this a Compact World Cup. I discussed this briefly in one of my videos I made regarding the World Cup facts. And it basically all of the stadiums in Qatar is within a 1 to 1.5 hours drive. And just think about that. Now, in Russia, for example, some of the stadiums were obviously in different cities, right? So sometimes there was up to a 3-hour flight in between the cities. If you would like to watch more than one game and it's in a, let's say the other game is in another city. Excuse me. So you have up to a 3-hour flight in between. Whereas in Qatar, all the stadiums are within about a 1 to 1.5 hour drive. So just think about that. Previous house, Russia, almost about a 3-hour flight in between some of the cities. Obviously, some of the travel time was less. Qatar, 1 hour, 30 minutes almost in between driving to the various stadiums. So that's why they call it a Compact World Cup. Now, obviously, with that, there's going to be some challenges. So let's see what the article says. During the month-long tournament, Qatar expects an unprecedented 1.2 million visitors, more than a third of the Gulf Arab states' population of about 3 million. Just put that into perspective. I think the population set at about 2.8 or 2.6 for the last, up until a few months ago when it really ballooned and it increased by about 200 to 300,000 residents. That's insane, yeah? Clogged roads are expected during the upcoming World Cup in Qatar, organizers said on Wednesday, saying that managing 4 football games per day in the tiny Gulf state will be difficult. Now, obviously, there's about a 1.5 hour drive in between, but just think about the congestion that could potentially happen as you get closer to the stadium. If you were to be driving to those stadiums, it'll be insane. Now, there are obviously a lot of stadiums that is actually close to the metro station. So that'll make things a lot easier. So you don't have to drive there. You can just take the metro. But again, if everybody is going to be piling into the metro, even that can be a challenge, right? So very interested to see what's going to happen. Moving on. From November 20th, fans will be able to watch multiple games in a single day, which might be complicated considering Qatar is the smallest country to host the World Cup event, Reuters reported. I'll just repeat that. Qatar is the smallest country in the world to host the World Cup event, as per Reuters. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that will actually try to watch 4 games in a single day. Having 4 matches in a day is a challenge in a city like Doha. Of course, we are expected to have congestion on the streets, said Abdulaziz Ali Al Maulawi, Mobility Director at the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, Qatar's tournament organizers. Therefore, we are here today to give notices and warn fans to follow certain rules. Now, there are actually a few initiatives that was implemented already to combat congestion. I mentioned this during the last stream. Qatar is actually leaving like the Corniche area. And if I'm not mistaken, Corniche is about maybe 2 to 3 kilometers long. No, not 2 to 3, more than 2 to 3 kilometers. I will have to find out what is the exact length of the Corniche. Let me just check so I can give you the correct information. So just 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So the Corniche is about a 7-kilometer plus stretch of road, obviously next to the ocean, right? And they're already testing the road closures on Fridays at a certain period during the day. So the area in and around the Corniche will be closed. So certain vehicles are not allowed there. So that is one of the initiatives that Qatar is, that Qatar has implemented actually to help combat the congestion. And they're actually testing it now to see how it works. And from the 1st of November, it'll basically be, I think, every day, if I'm not mistaken, that those roads will be closed up until the end of the World Cup. Yeah. And certain vehicles will be able to get permits to drive on those roads, but not all vehicles, right? So that will be that will be extremely, sorry, from the 1st of November, the Corniche itself will be closed. However, from the 20th of November, the area in and around the Corniche will be closed. So just to correct, yeah. So that is one of the initiatives that the government has already implemented to combat congestion. So let's just continue with this article. So Al Malawi urged fans to arrive early for matches with multiple people in the same car to reduce congestion. In addition, Qatar has ordered that schools be closed and 80% of government employees work from home. So that's actually another amazing initiative, right? I'm not sure if this was done in any other World Cup, but here in Qatar, during the World Cup, schools will actually be closed. Certain vehicles certain vehicles have been prohibited from entering central Doha. The Corniche Street, as I mentioned, will be designated for pedestrians from the 1st of November until the 19th of December. Excuse me. So like I said, from the 1st of November, the Corniche Street itself will be closed. However, the area in and around the Corniche will also be closed starting from the start of the World Cup. So meaning even the roads around the Corniche will be inaccessible to most vehicles. Bus lane, shuttle buses, and Doha Metro, all you need to know for the World Cup. So it says that games will be held in 8 stadiums located within the 40 kilometers of central Doha. There will be 4 matches per day during the 2 weeks of the tournament. During the first 2 weeks of the tournament, with kickoff scheduled between 1 p.m. and 10 p.m. local time. The Hayya card, Qatar's mandatory fan ID, will provide fans with a free access to the city's metro system, which connects the city's 2 airports with 5 stadiums. That's amazing, yeah. During the tournament, the metro will run 110 trains instead of the usual 75, stopping every 165 seconds. And that will be 21 hours a day, according to Abdullah Saif Al Sulaiti, Chief of Service Delivery at Metro Operator Qatar Rail. I will just leave it there. As I mentioned, the link is in the description if you would like to read it for yourself. And we are back to the full screen. Coffee is almost done. And if nobody has any questions, what I will do, I will just continue with the articles until somebody has a question. What am I doing now? Okay, I need to present. Okay, this is just something, it's not really anything that's going to impact life in Qatar, but it's just something that I came across that is interesting. And I thought, okay, it's an interesting article to actually discuss here and also to share with everybody. So this is theguardian.com. And the headline reads, Qatar World Cup imposes chilling restrictions on media. It says here, rules ban BBC, ITV, and other broadcasters from filming near government buildings, which is basically a law here for everybody. Nobody can film near government buildings. So legacy media will also be banned, same like everybody else, which is awesome. And migrant worker accommodation. Now, obviously, with the migrant worker accommodation, it's a lot of the international news outlets have been pressing on this issue about migrant worker human rights, and they have been basically, they have this smear campaign against Qatar, I would say. Now, I cannot comment about any of that because I obviously am not a migrant worker and I don't live there, but I do know that Qatar has really strict labor laws, and a lot of things have changed in terms of the labor laws here. And I've worked in 3 countries in the GCC, and up until this point, in terms of labor laws, Qatar is the best, without a doubt. Yeah. And I mentioned this briefly in one of my other videos. For example, Qatar is the only country that I've worked in the GCC where if you are employed and during your probation period, you decide to terminate your employment with your company, basically you resign during your notice period. Qatar is the only place in the GCC where the company is responsible to repatriate you back to your home country. In every other country, if you are recruited from abroad and you start working for said company, within your probation period, if you resign, you're responsible for paying, number one, the recruitment costs that company incurred to get you to start working in that specific country. Number two, you also are responsible for paying your own repatriation going home. In Qatar, the company is responsible solely for repatriation. And that is just one example of the pro-worker labor laws in Qatar. So again, I can't comment about the migrant workers. Excuse me. But in terms of labor laws, I prefer Qatar above any other country that I've worked in thus far, including my own country back home. Yeah. Okay. Let's continue with this article because I know I went off topic and off script a little bit. International television crews in Qatar for the FIFA World Cup will be banned from interviewing people in their homes as part of a sweeping report restriction that could have a severe chilling effect on media coverage. Now, obviously, we know why this is being implemented, right? So Qatar is spending billions to host the World Cup, improving the infrastructure, making the games and everything amazing, bringing everybody together to basically celebrate the most popular sport in the world, which is football. Now, if that happens, and let's say the FIFA games have started, you don't want any reports coming out from international media coverage interviewing somebody who could be giving misleading and false information. Why? Because we know that's what legacy media does. A lot of the times they structure their news reports in a way to further their own agenda and their own narrative, basically, and what they want people to believe. So you don't want them to, whether it's going to be true or false, interviewing people negatively about many things about living and working in Qatar while the World Cup is going on, right? It's fine. These broadcasters can do that in their own countries. They have freedom to do that in their own countries. Qatar says if you want to do any news broadcast in Qatar, you have to follow by our rules, and I'm absolutely fine with that. Yeah. Broadcasters such as the BBC and ITV will also be forbidden from filming at accommodation site, like those housing migrant workers under the terms of filming permits issued by the Qatari government. Amazing. Instead, they will be permitted to film in public spaces in only 3 locations in Doha: the Corniche waterfront promenade, the West Bay area, and the towns area. The towers area. Capturing footage near or within government buildings, universities, places of worship, and hospitals is also prohibited, along with recording on any privately owned property, even with the owner's consent. Wow. So that is quite strict, yeah. So even if the owner of a specific property gives you the permission to film there, it's still illegal by law. The restrictions are within a list of conditions that outlets must agree to when applying for a filming permit from the Qatari or authorities to capture photography and videography of the most popular locations around the country. They will also apply. This will also apply to photographers, but do not explicitly refer to print journalists who do not film for the interviews. Right. And this is a very important thing to mention, right? So I know you obviously heard that first part of the article as I was reading it, and you probably thought that this is a very authoritarian type of government. But let's get all the facts right, right? The rules do not prohibit reports on specific subjects, but barring crews from filming on private property. So these outlets are allowed to report on whatever they want to report on, basically, right? But when it comes to filming, it has to be within the areas that Qatar has specified, including but not limited to houses, apartment complexes, accommodation site, is likely to make it difficult for them to investigate, report the abuses such as the mistreatment of migrant workers or the conduct interviews on subjects people may be reluctant to discuss in public, such as LGBTQ plus rights. Now, shame on the Guardian. It should be LGBTQIA plus, not just LGBTQ plus. Where's the IA? Shame on you, the Guardian. Anyway, let's continue. The rules also say that applicants acknowledge and agree they will not produce reports that may be inappropriate or offensive to the Catholic culture, Islamic principles, or may arouse ethnic or religious disturbances. They add that organizations will be held responsible for criminal and civil liability for any breach of the above mentioned provisions when filming. I actually have no issues with this when it comes to legacy media. We know that they like to push their own agendas, and a lot of the times they are the ones misinforming people, and then normally social media platforms they will label those bringing the truth and discussing the truth as providing misinformation, but they will never say that to the legacy media. So I really like what Qatar is doing here. Qatar is basically saying in a nutshell, if you want to come and report on the World Cup, you can do it only in these locations, and you cannot and you have to follow these specific rules, and that is absolutely amazing. If the legacy media wants to come here, they have to follow the rules. If they don't want to follow the rules, then they don't need to come here. Let other legacy media stations who wants to follow the rules, let them come in and report on how the Qatar World Cup is going to be, how the hosting of the Qatar World Cup will go. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of this. You got the gist of this article. I'm just downing my cup of joe. And I have 2 more interesting articles to go through that I'll do so shortly. Now, this is a bit of a hilarious one, yeah? And this is my second last article that I will be discussing. Now, actually quite funny. Now, to put it into perspective, in Qatar, if you are obviously the right age, I believe it's 21 years and older, you can legally consume alcohol within a bar or a club, right? Because you use your Qatar ID, you use your passport to actually scan whenever you enter these places, right? Excuse me. And then you can actually consume alcohol there, right? But if you want to consume alcohol at home in Qatar, you need a alcohol license, and obviously that alcohol license has some requirements, right, before you can get it. So you have to have a certain salary, etc. So once you have the license, you can purchase alcohol at the I forget what's the name of the distributor, but anyway, you can with that license purchase alcohol and consume it at home, right? Now, that's how strict Qatar is. But obviously, Qatar is relaxing the rules with regards to drinking alcohol during the World Cup. Why is that? Because they want to be accommodating to everybody, and a big percentage, excuse me, of football fans like to consume alcohol, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So what Qatar is doing, as per ESPN.com, Qatar to send drunken fans to sobering up areas during the World Cup. Now, under normal conditions, if you that sobering up area will be basically jail if you're caught being drunk outside. So let's see what ESPN.com says. Qatar's World Cup chief Nasser Al Khater said that Thursday there will be a special zone. There will be special zones at the tournament for drunken football supporters to sober up. The sale of alcohol in Qatar will move from hotel bars to fan zones and outside stadiums during the World Cup. And again, guys, another testament to how flexible Qatar is. This is something that is usually prohibited outside of hotel bars and pubs. Now, just put that in perspective. Even at standalone restaurants, you cannot buy alcohol, right? That's how strict Qatar is. You can only get it within a hotel. Why? Because hotels pay crazy amounts of license fees to be able to sell alcohol, right? And it's only allowed in hotels for now. But during the Qatar World Cup, alcohol will be sold at fan zones as well as outside of stadiums. However, if anybody is caught drunk outside, they will basically be sent to the sobering up zone. Qatar is a predominantly Muslim country where public drinking is restricted, and it has decided to control public drunkenness by ensuring that there is an alternative to arrest or jail time, which is amazing. It just shows how flexible they are, right? Even though it's an insult to the culture, even though they are very strict, even though they are very conservative as a country, and we all have to follow obviously the rules of the country where you live, they are still being flexible because they want to make sure that everybody that comes to watch the World Cup games feels inclusive, included in all the activities, right? So there are plans in place for people to sober up if they have been drinking excessively. Al Khater, who is the chief executive of the Supreme Committee, told Sky News, it's a place to make sure that they keep themselves safe, they're not harmful to anybody else. It has been reported that fans who end up in a so-called sobering tent will remain there until they're sufficiently cleared to be released with the warning. On the topic of anti-LGBTQIA+, now, thank you, ESPN. The Guardian got it wrong. They only said LGBTQ+. It should be IA+. Laws within Qatar. Al Khater insisted gay fans can hold hands and said that nobody would be discriminated against in this respect. Now, I actually see there's a lot of individuals that actually hold hands already. And these specific individuals from these specific countries are not necessarily leaning towards the gay side. I don't know how to put that so it's not offensive. So they are not necessarily gay, but they do hold hands. But it's good to know that hand holding will not be issued during the World Cup, and nobody would discriminate against this in this respect. In Qatar, same-sex partnerships are not recognized, and in and in some cases punishable by law. So just to finish off this article, all we ask is for people to be respectful of the culture, which is fair. Al-Khater said, at the end of the day, as long as you don't do anything that harms other people, if you're not destroying public property, as long as you are behaving in a way, as long as you are behaving in a way that's not harmful, then nobody's welcome. Then everybody's welcome, sorry, and you have nothing to worry about. And that's reassuring, yeah. And I'm almost there. This is actually the first stream where I have 0 viewers for such a long time. Part of the teething problems. Okay, so I'm going to quickly jump into my final article that I will discuss. And this is actually an interesting one. Okay, am I doing it right? No, I am not. And this is actually a cool way to just end off the stream. First time for everything. 8 reasons why Qatar's World Cup will be unique. First time host Qatar is set to organize the World Cup like no other, debuting several firsts that will thrill fans and travelers from overseas. In less than 40 days, so this article was published on the 13th of October. It's now the 15th as of the recording of this stream. So it's probably 38 days now. 64 action-packed matches will ignite in the small peninsula, which will host the Middle East and Muslim world's first ever FIFA World Cup. Now, this is a very proud moment, I know, because I know how proud I was in 2010 when, for the first time, Africa was hosting the World Cup. And I know this, right? First Winter World Cup. Now, for the first time ever, the World Cup will be held during the winter season. Now, this is for obvious reasons, because it's really hot in summer. You'll have all these players collapse if they're going to play in summer. Unlike previous FIFA editions, Qatar's intense desert climate forced a shift in football norms, moving the traditional Football World Cup summer schedule to winter for the first time in history. The new timings is expected to deliver a higher level of football compared with other previous cups, according to a former English captain and Qatar 2022 ambassador, David Beckham. Oh, wow, I never knew he's the ambassador. Players are coming into this World Cup after playing 25 games, so they will be arriving fresh and excited. The energy is going to be at the top level, so I think what you're going to see on the pitch is probably like no other World Cup, said Beckham in an interview with Al Jazeera earlier this month. First World Cup in the Middle East. Again, we've mentioned that, but yeah, it's worth mentioning again. Since winning the bid in 2010, Qatar's World Cup has been noted for the region, since it will be the first time in the Arab world and in the Middle East. Qatar's Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani called the tournament an event to unite one another within and worldwide. This tournament will be the first major event that unites the world in the aftermath of the pandemic that has taken its toll on the world for more than 2 years. I feel proud and happy from now until the moment the World Cup will see that we in Qatar will present an exceptional World Cup in the Arab world, as we had promised, the Amir said during the final draw ceremony for the FIFA World Cup. Okay. First in the Middle East, first winter, first techno ball. Qatar has branded its up-and-coming tournament as one of invention, releasing several technological aspects that have never been seen during the football event, starting with the football. Qatar's World Cup ball, Al-Rikhla, which means the journey in Arabic, will be the first to feature connected ball technology. I don't know what that means. Let's see what it means. Adidas designed ball will be used to improve the VAR system by improving unparalleled data to match officials, leading to more accurate calls on the pitch. Wow. So there's some crazy technology inside the ball. The suspension system is placed in the center of the ball, unnoticeable to players. The sensor is powered by a rechargeable battery, which can be charged by induction, limiting the use of emissions. That's amazing. So, first semi-auto offside technology. After successfully using VAR technology at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, FIFA will implement semi-automated offside technology, right? 12 dedicated tracking cameras mounted underneath the stadium roof will track the ball and feed offside alerts to the video match official whenever a player is offside. So again, I'm not going to read everything, but you get the gist of what the technology is. So that's awesome. So we can continue the stream. First footballer data. Let's see. Okay, we're still here. First footballer data app. The digital application will also be unveiled ahead of the forthcoming tournament, allowing players to access their performance statistics. Wow, it's like the gamification of real life football, similar to FIFA on the PlayStation and Xbox. Set out to do that for the first time, all players of the qualified 32 teams will have everyday access to the application, illustrating comprehensive updates after each match. This player-centric development is based on direct feedback from the players and is another great example of how FIFA is using technology to the best of its potential by improving the football experience for the key actors on the pitch, said Johannes Holzmuller, FIFA Director of Football Technology and Innovation. That's amazing. So there will be an app as well. First all-green transport system. The Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy has stressed to all audiences that the country is on track to carbon neutral World Cup. The committee plans to do that with a batch of electric buses full of 741 units. Sorry, completing the country's electric buses order will pave the way for converting 25% of the bus fleet for the World Cup to go electric. That's amazing. Again, EVs are taking the world by storm. So this is something that's quickly becoming the norm, and it's amazing to see that Qatar is leveraging this technology to actually reduce the carbon footprint. Because imagine if you have 1,000 buses driving around and all of them are gas guzzling, right? It will create a lot of emissions if those buses are driving 12, 14 hours a day. So this is another amazing initiative by the Qatari government to go green. The e-bus fleet will be maintained by over 200 operational and administrative employees and over 3,000 drivers. Wow. And soon the 3,000 drivers will not be needed because soon we'll have self-driving buses. The electric buses will be utilized on 44 Metrolink and 48 public transportation routes past the tournament, expanding the country's sustainability for years to come. And here's another first compact World Cup. We briefly discussed this before. Adding to the evolution of the country's green efforts, Qatar's compact distance will limit gas emissions for all parties. And actually, I didn't think about that. But yeah, the thousands of players that normally would fly in between various cities to watch their favorite football teams play, all those planes use a crazy amount of fuel, which obviously results in a crazy amount of carbon emissions. So because the World Cup is compact and there's a significant portion of the bus fleet is actually EVs, that will really reduce the country's green efforts, which is insane. I never thought of that. But yeah, we don't have to fly in between cities to watch matches. All the stadiums are within a 55-kilometer radius of the city, making it highly convenient for all included. Easily the most compact World Cup ever in terms of geography. Players will also see an advantage. Short distance leads to better recovery and allows athletes to focus on enhancing their fitness. It's a dream for players in previous World Cups to have had. We've had to travel, and it's not easy to recover after games. I would have loved to have played at this World Cup, said David Beckham in his interview with Al Jazeera. And finally, first to host women referees. Oh, wow, I never knew this. Japan's Yoshimi Yamashita France's Stephanie Freppard and Rwanda's Salima Mukanzanga, sorry if I butchered that, I do apologize, are set to make history, becoming the first woman to referee in men's World Cup. That is actually something notable, yeah? And it's something, honestly, I also never thought of. Yeah, most of the football matches usually have a male referee, probably because it's obviously like if it's the male FIFA World Cup, obviously it's going to be males on the pitch, male players. So you would assume that the referees should be male. But again, that it wouldn't be abnormal to think that a referee can also be female. Why? Because the referee is not actively participating in playing the games, right? So there's no disadvantage. Yeah, so that makes sense. Another good initiative by the Qatar host. The trio will captain and officiate the tournament in the gathering of 36 heads of referees at the football's biggest stage. Joined by assistant referee Noisa Back of Brazil, Mexico's Karen Diaz Medina, and Catherine Nesbitt from the United States, the change marks an end to the tournament's 92-year history, which has never seen any female referees participate on the pitch, which is amazing. I'm sure there's a lot of female referees during the female FIFA World Cup, or female football world events. According to the FIFA head of refereeing, Pierluigi Collina, the appointment of the female officials was made because of their quality as referees and not their gender. Amazing. So this is not becoming a gender discussion, right? It's purely because of skill. And I always appreciate that. And that is the final news topic. Now, if you do come across my stream after I've been live and you watch it on video on demand, and if you do appreciate any of the content in the stream, I would highly appreciate if you can smash the like button. That will basically signal to the YouTube overlords that you've found some value in this video, which will hopefully push YouTube to share this video with more people. And if you want to see similar content in the future, I do make vlogging videos as well, and I'm working on some that it's a bit delayed, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to upload it soon. So I am working on some vlogging videos. Now, if you want to see those kind of videos in the future, I would appreciate a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next stream, which will probably be next week. Peace.